Welcome to the lovely IHP community and the 5D collective. We are here to continue our conversations on being yourself. Securely attached, non-traumatized people get to be their self, and I, as a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, get to tell you all about how amazing it is to not only be a whole self, but also that infinite higher human conscious potential experience, self-empowered, enlightening people, mystic, spiritual, mindfully living, loving. That's what we get to do here, and those all navigate the love frequency because they anchor in their ventral vagal state and or their ventral energy. So with that in mind, you're a healthy person, and that means you don't use alcohol, drugs, or fucking or drinking or of anything to numb yourself. You also aren't an extremist of a whole black and white thinking of any type. You don't have charges and you don't have sides. If, on the other hand, there's any of this stuff that is something that you do, you want to go somewhere else, because infinite higher human conscious potential can only be experienced if you have access to an integrated brain. Bilateral vertical overall means you're objectively aware of that which are your own weaknesses and strengths, and you are keeping yourself healthy. So when I hear somebody say, yeah, selfish because you're going to put the mask on on an airplane, I will. Not selfish the way you're making it sound, though. You sound like you're a person who doesn't have faith in humanity. I come with God. And please do remember, I'm a co-author of the lovely book, The Ways to God. It will be coming out on June 28th. We have some community posts on it. If you want, you can also check out, I have one interview with Amira, and then we have a panel discussion. More than just one, but I'm in one of the panel discussions, and then we have the rest of the beautiful spiritual authors and others. So you can ask questions if you want, and the hardcover and the paperback will be out to be able to order on the 28th. So for now, you can pre-order the ebook. Long story short, that's for those of you who are new and or some of you who are regulars who don't know or didn't remember. So back to us. The ways to God are many. I come with Christian Catholicism upbringing, and it's a good one. And God is discerning, equanimous love, as the chapter that I get to share and contribute. And that's because smart people, mystics, are stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, and we don't get into spiritual bypassing, and our egos don't take over, and that's for anybody who's a functional child adult. So a securely attached person does know, because they're non-traumatized, because they can metabolize thoughts and feelings, that emotions are not contagious, that you are not a virus and I'm not a virus. I'm a nervous system and so are you. So I know how to self-regulate independently from you. That's why I'm a securely attached, non-traumatized person who has a higher self. And with that, when I'm looking in the eyes of anyone, I will automatically be connecting to them. And as Pat Ogden has presented to me, and so has Deb Dane and Cian Porges, I may irritate the fuck out of somebody. It's not demons that are inside of them. No, it's their child parts. So their attachment wounds. There you go. And so when you hear a quote or more, Denzel Washington, he has a quote out there about how the demons from some people, you will irritate them, make them come forth. No, I feel bad for every person who doesn't go to therapy. And I shouldn't feel bad, because some people say that, why would you understand anyone who's choosing not to go to therapy? And I'm like, because I can understand it. I don't give them a pat on the back, but I'm going to understand that they didn't get the, luck like I did. So I got lucky because I have a higher self. She's right here. And again, I come with God, so I feel even more lucky. But in case you're not a believer, I'm Pseudoscience Woo Lady. And I do know about being grounded in reality, which is why any of my cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. But I also know what it is to be an actually responsible grown-up. I won't be using substances to numb my pain, because there is no gain from pain. And people who like sob stories and suffering tales can all go, again, somewhere else. It's not here. So the ones who are in the fear frequency, I know what they're doing. And I know that people will hear that which they want to hear. Your soul is pure consciousness, pure love. It will not want to tune into where there is pain, there is gain. The people who like that, and that they talk about life as this existence as suffering, are people who are in their modulated, they began life with suffering, and they're continuing to be motivated by that which is maladaptive patterns, including the narrative of this life, this very existence is suffering, besides the historical books that they may look into and put on pedestals. I don't put anything on pedestals. There's no thingness when it comes to information on pedestals. I expand. It enriches me. So infinite higher human consciousness potential experiencing right here, Anima Mundi. the soul of the world, all that is. You accept all and reject none, and you don't describe optimism or pessimism with a charge. You actually describe it with the same wisdom, thank you, God. That is discernment, with the same also calm-centeredness. It's not emotionless. It's called my ventral energy leads the way. My brain stays actively in the present. I'm also an Akashic record reader, so I'm mastering my physical mastery, oneness with Akash. And consciousness is looked into by other smart scientists. So when I know what smarts is, it's because I don't use substances to numb myself. If I'm stressed out when I'm in social environments, that's an indication that I need to work with my nervous system. And that's with my child parts. If I don't want to, great. Admitting to oneself I have an issue because I have childhood trauma that I want to heal, that's very fair, and then to go and do it. I've heard plenty of people talk to other people about this stuff and not do anything about it. And so I'm just going to make sure we don't have anyone who's here without taking the responsibility to get EMDR, child parts work, somatics, and then say, I do personal development self-help, Maria. And I'll say, that's okay. There's a Zen master for you. I'm here for the ones who want to do it, and it involves you creating more of a window of welcome to that which is affect. Okay, great. Nobody's complaining. We have 2 hands, 2 feet. The ones who complain about emotions think emotions are contagious and that they need to have enthusiasm with change. I don't need enthusiasm. I can be enthusiastic, but I don't have to have it. I actively will be calibrating my lovely nervous system when I'm faced with something with the inner growth mindset and my mindset skills and my mindfulness practice. Oh, look, Maria has an awareness that some shit's coming up. Yeah. Her personality patterns, temperament. Yep. And her attachment category. I'm secure. There you go. What's up? Well, I have kind intention already because God, Jesus, Holy Spirit taught it to me, but also because I'm a smart human being who notices 11-year-olds being mean by pretending. Okay, so when idiots use things and they grow up and they think they're smart, I don't find it smart to look at me weird because I live with my mom and yet you drink and you fuck and you're miserable and I'm in college wasting. No, I'm not wasting money. You seem to be wasting money. Why aren't you in therapy? And so as I grew up, I just ignored all these people. And now that I'm attachment trauma informed, they're like, wow, they all could have gotten help for that. They had the money, they had the time. They seemed to think they were smart enough to know shit. I don't think they know anything. 3D, 4D frequency brothers and sisters aren't going to move out of what they are. They like their stories. Okay, so accept all, reject none. The embrace of Anima Mundi is available anytime, anywhere, to anyone, day or night. Rich or poor, it is a process of unveiling error. Yeah, no. Okay, I'm not going to read that word. As always, they like to use words, but that's because they're not navigating the frequency of love. Okay, so you don't resist that which is love. Actively, if you don't own your 0-1-year-old attached panicky, that's what I have in the forefront when somebody's talking to me about resisting love. Because it's called, Maria is afraid right now. It'll be okay. You can thank my panic attacks. They gave me a lot of practice to be able to be a safe haven, secure base. So I'm going to, again, repeat, it's not the words that come out of this mouth that are of importance. I'm building a community of those who want to experience their infinite higher human consciousness potential, but also understand what I'm experiencing. Because the community is of like-minded people and not pretenders. The pretenders don't know what this is like, to be at ease with life. You stress. So you get to have the higher frequency because you do know, I do know how to navigate my nervous system, and I won't be numbing myself with alcohol or fucking again or drugs when I notice that I have maladaptive patterns due to my unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms due to my childhood trauma. So when people have their faith in humanity broken, they talk about suffering as the one thing that exists. Evil exists, this exists. It's a continuous lamentation to me, which is why God keeps telling me not to judge human suffering. Because I don't judge it good or bad. It's don't waste my fucking time. The last time I thought these words was a long time ago. No, not that long, but I'll never forget. Because the last time I had actually involved my brain with that was when I was a 19-year-old and I said, hey God, so I see cowards. That's it. There's no Lucifer. I'm busy with life. I know what I'm doing. Thank you so much for the experiences. And I kept moving forward. And so when you are an empowered feminine, you don't waste time with masculines who won't tap into their infinite potential because they've chosen to throw their life in the shithole. I don't have to do anything. I love you just the way you are. I ain't God. God's up there. And if you don't believe in God, then there you go. Intelligence always wins, which is why stupidity is not what you surround yourself with. And this isn't cockiness. This is intelligence. and this is in a woman who says, man, woman, don't matter who you are. I'm going to notice if I got Cusco by the time I'm done interacting with you, because you're going to show me everything you're made of. But the thing that I will notice the most, your stories don't add up. You say one thing today and then you say another tomorrow. You say tomato, I say tomato, but I'm going to always say tomato, and in the meantime you're switching it up. That's not a trick. You don't manipulate in the way of, oh my God, because the only ones who manipulate anyone are the same ones who lack self-awareness. And they also lack accountability, and they lack complete desire to regulate in their ventral energy. So when you notice what neuropeptides are, excuse me, I got a course. Neuropeptides from trauma want to leave the body through tears, perspiration, urine. Yes, the tears, if you're doing what the Zen master does with his tears and he calls it laundry, you ain't doing shit with those neuropeptides. You're just doing it karma wheel. And with that, again, I'm just making sure that we have those who are lovers. And so it's not a story. It's your nervous system. And then as we keep moving forward, I know we're going to be building the right community together, because there's plenty of people who don't think of the nervous system. So I might be, yes, repetitive, because the repetition is, let's make sure you understand emotions are not contagious. You're a nervous system, I'm a nervous system. I know how to calibrate in my ventral energy without a problem, because I've been doing it since I was a kid. Because I've been doing it since I met those 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all of it. And then I got to my 19, and then I got to my 20, and I'm a mystic. So I got to start having clairs 2007. That's been a while. I knew about 3D, 4D not moving out of where they were. I was like, okay. And now I know they really won't. So I'm not going to be here at IHP is not for 3D, 4D. I'm 5D, you see. The frequency is only of love. It's the ventral vagal state. This is very straightforward. It's not a special gift. It's called the flow state. It's called integration of the brain for real and not pretend. And there's a timing to it, but it's called the responsibility. You choose, if you're going to notice, what is my relationship to substances? What is my relationship to my emotions? What is my relationship to my words? What is my relationship to life? And if you're feeling life hard, and so it's easier to be dead than alive, you need therapy, not me. As long as you feel that life is still hard, then therapists are what you want, because that means your emotional body is not yours yet. And that means that you have not learned the boring secure attachment. It's not boring, which is why those attachment coaches, really, they're not going to motivate anybody to get out of there not securely attached. I, on the other hand, do not want to be in any way, shape, or form with those who don't care to heal trauma, take responsibility, and move forward in life with that, which is, again, the infinite higher human conscious potential experience. It's for the future, not for you right now. It's for the kids that are still being idiots. And I don't want to waste time ever. And that's why I know what I'm talking about. I don't need to prove it. There's plenty of people who are doing it. But the truth, when you read this, our soul recognizes the truth, not unless you recognize your soul. And soul means that you are pure love, which means you are a securely attached, non-traumatized person who knows how to use your brain and doesn't get into people's faces. And therefore, any of your cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. Also means you don't use numbing agents when you get stressed. You also don't do extremism. So nobody's going to be an arbivore or a carnivore, and none of those extremes. Black and white thinkers are the very teenagers who are out there having fun, who think that the soul recognizes the truth means that my truth is more important than your truth, which is where people who get hooked with words don't know what academia does. Quantitative, qualitative data analysis. If I want truth, I'm going to go and find peer-reviewed, and I'm going to find it in a specific way. Then I'm going to grab it all, and then I'm going to know that today is only one day, and tomorrow those experts might find something new. I won't dismantle what was from yesterday's news, so intelligence doesn't get lost in idiocy. And truth, it depends. Do you rule your 14-month-old? Because I know this thing called groups. I noticed how people work just as much as any other smart human being will notice. And so if you're smart, then you don't take sides. I don't have a side. I walk like an Egyptian, and it's not optimists or pessimists. The land of truth is neutrality, because it means you, thank you God, love, discerning, equanimous. Intelligence is not going to be reactive. The ones who think that destruction may come forth because of needing to be punished are the same ones who had a very unfortunate upbringing as they grew up. They weren't able to talk back. They probably weren't able to hit back. I got taught hitting bad manners, and you don't disrespect your elders. I got taught that in church too. Though, I got to talk back. And then I got to be unconsciously loved. I didn't work for love, like Gabor Mate says, and all my emotions were expressed because I got to talk back, and I got to whine, and I got to do all of these things versus getting repressed by assholes who ask punishing questions and treat their children like little soldiers, which I, to this day, inside of me, every time I think of all of them, and it's, again, none of my business, because as God keeps pointing out, don't make it into a big deal, Maria. You know that I'm always, yes, I know intelligence always wins. Stupidity does not. And so when you meet rigidity and chaos, you know that you got those who are idiots and don't go to Terrio or Patrick Tan. So when you have a teenager in a room, they are going to have a savior complex. They're going to have a spiritual bypasser complex. They think that they are going to be making the difference for the entire human world. And there's your 3-year-old again, mommy, 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 daddy, 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 make me into somebody special. And so I can spot human secondary consciousness, which I have too, a mile away. It's called the human condition for Maria, because a higher self doesn't look into anything as I'm necessary. No, I'm not. I'm meaningful, meaningless. That's it. It doesn't make me feel bad about Maria. This is what I'm trying to ensure. That's healthy self-worth people. Okay, so if you're a healthy self-worth person, you're not looking for the truth in the way that the adaptive child is, because the adaptive child doesn't have a sense of safety inside of their self yet. So they use substances, they use a lot of things to numb themselves, and they ignore the signs. No, they choose to disregard it and follow the truth that tells them that it's okay for them to keep doing it. And that's why when I hear that lady dismantling the modern day therapist, sure you are. For the people who are scaredy cats, for the people who are cowards, I don't look up to cowards. I don't look up to those who abandon their own inner world due to them having some fucking story in their head. I'm stupid, sure. You're more stupid though, because at the end of the day, you're ignoring data that actively resonates, because every time I've shared the psych education, to a T, the therapists are always correct. And that's in a sad, sad, sad way, which is why God keeps chiming in with me. Because I've consistently noticed the lazy ass people, I just made it my mission to continue living life Maria's way. And since I have healthy boundaries, as Dr. Daniel Fox presents, those who don't have them won't want to be around us, because we will repeat our healthy boundaries to the extent of sounding so annoying that they will not have anything to do except for make one of two choices. You either adhere to what I told you, or you get the fuck out of my life. And when it's coming to anchored in ventral energy, the other thing is, yes, as long as I'm a reminder to their body of what their body is capable of, the demons will come up, because that demon is not a demon. It's called those poor child parts. Attachment wounds will be affected by those of us who don't have attachment wounds. And that's where it's not protection. It's very insulting to brothers and sisters who need therapy. So if somebody doesn't want to be responsible for their nervous system, they don't have to. They're going to follow the fancy lady in her suit who says it's dangerous to have no emotions. The modern day therapists are trying to lock you up because they want their roller coaster buddies. Have fun roller coaster buddies in your biochemistry of fear with low frequency, where you wake up more tired than yesterday because you've learned nothing except for rumination. And there's your dark sides of neuroplasticity. So if you're not using the bright sides, you're just going to pattern shut. And shame, blame, fault, revenge. And so when we see our 4D, 3D brothers and sisters, they're not demons. They're adaptive child part people, and you can tell who their truth is because they follow them like a hawk, following the leader. That's what you see. And you see them all singing the same song, and then like the flat earthers, they deny every single... This is what you will notice. If you are not intelligence, you will sound like a little regurgitation of a wheel, and your limited information will be a little box. Right here, Wendy. Oh, look, that's everything they believe in. There you go. It's easy for a brain like mine, because I own my mind and I own myself, to notice the story that you're building. I can build one too, but I'm hearing you because the 3-year-old wants attention because they didn't get to talk back, and they didn't get to hit back, and they didn't get to do anything back. And I'm an empowered feminine. So I will allow myself to hear also, because I'm curious. Because I'm not challenged by anything. You're not challenging me. You actively gave me no challenge whatsoever, which is why you won't change my mind. you're not offering me anything that has the capacity to expand me, and therefore I'm not going to be changed because you didn't offer me something that's moving into the future. When people give me yesterday's news, it's yesterday's news. You simply gave me something that is a bunch of material, and you think it's going to play out the same way tomorrow without even noticing it. And so most pain has no gain. In other words, it wears down the immune system, disrupts the gastrointestinal system, and impacts the nervous system and leads to depression. Thank you, Rick Hansen, PhD. So when you're tapping into the infinite higher human consciousness potential experience, because you have eustress, higher frequency, love is always on, you have a heart that's open, you have a mind that's open, you have a brain that doesn't hone in on one truth or two truths. You also don't get into charge because you're walking like an Egyptian. So you know it's not about men or women, it's about people not being securely attached. We have men and women treating each other like shit and all of the other stuff you see because of pathologies that are people who are unhealed. There's no need to be afraid though, because again, as enlightened ones will inform all of you, they've informed me too, intelligence, God is bigger than any other person. The only ones who think with pessimism are the same ones who don't know what those of us who neutrally know with our faith. You're in flesh, and you giving me a number of ways to help me understand that I'm supposed to look at all corners and angles. Duh. No shit, Sherlock. I don't need to call it optimism or negativism or pessimism. I don't need to use those words. And it's not me denying the truth. I'm the one who's able to move beyond it because I'm allowing my body to stay safe as it's contemplating. You are ignoring the fact of how your body responds to words, which is why you're the idiot. So when people don't know your body is responding to words, that's when they don't understand why reformulation, and then when they're not using their brain at the same time. And those who are cut off though from Purusha Prakriti, pure consciousness, pure energy, it's half a brain. They're not integrated. You have people who are non-bilaterally integrated, the enamored with themselves, the one focused, I've met them, monkey brain, butterfly, and what was it? The donkey brain. And so again, anyone who is ignoring their own red flags, because in the year 2025, as Patrick Chan points out, there's plenty of therapists online offering you good information. And whenever I've shared with people what the child parts are, the nervous system, they all know it. They all know it, but they'll do what the fancy lady in her suit does. They're patching it though. It sounds like you're putting a little band-aid. You're a wimp. You know what? Your compassion is wimpy. Or whatever. I'm just exaggerating now, but basically it'll be that. No, but I know moderation. I know how to handle. Yeah, sure you do. You know how to handle everything. Keep on doing that. The minute you have a person who's lacking the self-awareness with accountability, regulation, and objectivity, and they're hearing, it's something to a T. I'm not doing the cross, even though I should. It's thank you, God, for being here with me. I'm telling them they can get the kingdom they can get heaven in the body. They just don't want it, God. It's not Lucifer, though. They're ignoring therapists all over the place. And they're choosing to follow the assholes who have the title, but they're assholes because they're actually the ones who are perpetuating the very same trauma stuff that instead a person like Patrick Chan, and I stand with him, even though he talks about not forgiveness, I will stand with him and say every person is accountable. No, they should, all parents, be accountable for their nervous system. And I'm not a parent. But if I have to make a choice, is it right? It's not about right or wrong. I have the human species in mind. And so I will say, yeah, every parent, before bearing any kind of child, if you didn't get your nervous system online and you don't know how to navigate it, why are you bothering yet? You don't even know that emotions aren't contagious. You don't even know how to handle emotions. And this is the very reason why this rigid way doesn't work. Because it's black and white, and that's limited consciousness, and those are people with a charge. And those are people with a side. And that's the very part of where, again, being able to present information, the people who don't like it are the very same people who ignore what I just said, and they will be a very perfect example, not of Patrick Chan, of the very opposite. So if you're going to hold people accountable for things, and you don't hold yourself accountable for your own health, and you don't know how to regulate in your ventral vagal state yet, please go somewhere else. As there's plenty, again, individuals like that fancy lady and man in suit who create trending topics, and they continue to perpetuate that which is like pop culture bullshit? Yes, I'm not going to be one of those. I'm pseudoscience woo lady for a reason, but I'm not the one who's going to say, let me give you a story. My stories are different. They are for your humanity to come forth and for us to help to continue to heal trauma. None of us are perfect, but we do know how to be compassionate because, again, I got lucky. You may not have. I know you can heal though. Hurt people don't have to hurt people. They can go reparent their inner child with Patrick Tian or Terry Real and very bare minimum become a functional adult, which is awesome. Thanks, Terry Real. And then you can do more, which is where personal development, self-help, spiritual growth happen. Until you don't even have access to your soul, you won't hear the truth. You're just going to hear what you want to hear. And in fact, that's why we have spiritual bypassers within our mystic community. The people who use our faith, religion, and all of that from yesterday to keep people isolated. Isolation is the very red flag of a toxic environment. And people who are with exiles and protectors only want to hang out with the ones who think the same way they do about everything. So as long as that's the case, again, and no forgiveness for Patrick Tian because he works with childhood trauma survivors, they need to have him as a person there to tell them it's okay. Because the part about how anger and suffering and things that come up, the grieving process, taking real ownership of what will have taken place in your childhood is something that I can understand, because I can only imagine if I found out that my entire life was wasted in an energy of unkindness. I don't trust anyone and anything. I numb myself. I'm completely ungrounded. I would be pretty pissed myself, and I'm only on this other end. Okay, so I'm saying I'm not there, but I will know why he's there for those who want to heal seriously, because he's also still to this day regretting the unkindness that came from his childhood. So he still recognizes it, and he makes sure people know about it themselves. So we'll be back with more. Again, it's not black and white, we know that much, but the infinite higher human conscious potential experience, it is with love and intelligence that it comes. And it is because you are a healthy, self-soothing person and you do not pretend that you are. You know you are, and then when we all have, again, weaknesses and strengths, as Dr. Daniel Fox presents, there are those who will fall back on patterns, yes. But you don't fall back and be, laid back to the extent of let me ignore it. You will fall back and say, okay, so those things that I had put into place didn't work. What else can I try? How do I want to work it? The substances are not the issue. Like this lovely lady who in a workshop, she helps people with it's kind of like a 12-step program. It is the relationship to the substance. So you don't have to quit anything cold turkey. The whole, again, black and white thinking is only for people who are limited, but you will have a capacity to understand what are my weaknesses, what are my strengths, what's my relationship, how can I work with this, and then your commitment to your infinite higher human consciousness potential life. Again, the benefit: eustress, higher frequency, using prefrontal. Secure attachment gets called boring by those who don't have it. I find it very, instead, beautiful, because emotions are not contagious. Nope, I know how to securely attach, and I know how to self-regulate, and that's because I'm able to consistently be in Maria's whole self. I don't know how to see. I am a securely attached person. Point is, though, I don't enmesh. I don't get confused, and I don't have a problem if I'm around low frequency people, because they're in their modulated, modulated, dysregulated. They don't want to get out of it. So, at the end of the day, I can't make you learn to regulate if you don't want to be anchored in your ventral energy. The bodies of ours will remind each other of that, which is the capacity. But the person is the one who's going to be able to choose this path or not. We'll be back again with more. Have a good one.